Hello and welcome to PS4 O'Clock. My name's Leon Hurley and this week I'm talking to Joel Gregory about his hands-on at E3 with the PS4, the controller and the games. Okay, so I'm here with Joel, who is fresh from E3.
Not fresh, really not fresh. Overripe, squishy, mouldy, disgusting.
Okay, well survived E3.
Yeah, just about.
But the key part of that is that you have been very close to and have touched certain parts of PS4.
Yeah, I just sort of put my finger in its holes. Yeah, I've been within about 2 foot of it. So it was on the other side of a glass case.
Yeah, we've seen this kind of glass container thing,
yeah.
And you've basically stood on the other side of the glass, like at the zoo.
I tried to figure out a way in, but there wasn't one.
So it's just tell us about it. I mean, like size, the finish, the sort of the look of it.
It's quite small. It's smaller than I was expecting when it was held up at the conference. It looked sort of your average PS3 fat size, but it's not. It's significantly smaller than that. It's slightly smaller than the PS3 Slim, not the Super Slim, the Slim. It looks lovely. I really like it. It's sort of split opinion quite a lot, which surprised me because I thought everyone would quite like it. It's a bit. I suppose it's just a bit bolder than standard black box. You know, it's on an angle, it's got sort of grills and slots and vents and stuff.
I think it does depend on the angle you look at it, because you look at some angles and you go, oh, it's lovely, and you look at another angle, you go, is it broken? Does a bit come off?
It's really thin. If you look at it from sort of front on, as it were, when it's standing up, which it was in the case, it's really thin, so that's good.
Yeah.
I imagine it'll be relatively portable. I haven't held it, so I have no idea if it weighs 20 kilograms or something, but I highly doubt it. I finally figured out where the discs go, which was a question someone asked and I had absolutely no idea.
Loads of people were asking
yeah.
because it's not clear, but it's
in that little groove at the front on the top end, so by the Sony logo.
So is that on the
left? If you laid it horizontal, it would be on the left. If you put it on its feet vertically, it would be near the top.
Right, and then there's 2 USB slots, aren't there, on the right? Is it then
2 USB slots to the right of it?
Yep.
Yes.
You've also had to go on the pad, which you had a lot of very nice things to say about. What are the key sort of changes that they've made?
So it's slightly taller, as in the distance between the bottom of the analog stick and the shoulder buttons is slightly bigger. So the, what do you call it? The handles, I guess?
The horns?
The horns.
Grab it by the horns?
Yeah, the horn. Okay, so the horns are slightly longer, which is good. They are not like, I guess form-wise they're about the same, maybe slightly longer and slightly thinner. The triggers are really good. So the triggers they've got that slight indentation on them now, and they're a lot tighter. So PS3 or DualShock 3 triggers were, it has to be said, slightly floppy. There was that little bit of dead area around the middle where nothing would happen.
And they got worse with age.
I have no idea if these will get worse with age. They probably will. But the sticks work really well. They're really tight and responsive. Really easy to kind of keep your thumb on when you're moving them around a lot. And
is the actual travel smaller? Because obviously there's less dead zone, but do they actually move a similar amount?
I'd say they move slightly less, but it's probably roughly comparable, but I guess you don't need to fling it quite as far to the side if there's no dead zone, so that's good. And yeah, they're definitely easier to keep a thumb on, because the old ones, because they were convex, when they got sweaty your thumb could quite easily slide off. And also that
cover used to work loose, didn't it, and spin round.
Well, that definitely won't happen because it's all one. There's no cover this time, it's all one piece, which is good. And again, I don't imagine them breaking quite as easily, which is good.
Did you get any rumble at all? I mean, does that feel basically the same?
No, I think that was probably disabled.
So you're saying a few things were switched off, like the share button was switched off?
The share button was obviously switched off. However, the touchpad was working on Killzone, which it wasn't on Drive Club.
Was it the OWL?
Yeah, so the OWL, which is your tech buddy, has these 4 operating modes, and you can switch between them by holding, I think it's L2, and then you get a radial. But to do it quickly, you swipe the touchpad with your thumb in a certain direction. So it's basically 4 directions, up, down, left, right, and each one of those does a different function with the OWL. And the guy was showing it to me, and I thought, this looks really clumsy. But as soon as you start using it, it works really nicely, and you instinctively remember which way is which, and you just kind of move your thumb really quickly from the right stick to the touchpad, swipe, and then you're straight back. Yeah, it felt alright. It's not a screen. I clarified absolutely that it isn't a screen, but it does click. It clicks in a little bit. So I guess that's either a one-button thing, or possibly you could click it on the left and on the right, and those might do slightly different things. That's sort of what it felt like.
I'm guessing, I mean, if you're going to use it to be moving an arrow around to select things, you feel that you need some kind of...
That would definitely work, yeah. Yeah, it's a little bit like, I guess it's a little bit like a trackpad on a laptop, but one that you can click.
Brilliant. And now the games. So we'll just go through, I'm going to go pick a few out and you're going to pick a few out. What was your top game of the show?
Played or saw?
Both.
I would say played. It probably was Killzone.
Yeah.
I'm a Killzone fan. I actually like the feel of it. I like the heaviness. I think the AI in Killzone's always been massively underrated. I think the enemies in that are a lot cleverer than they're given credit for, and a lot cleverer than things like COD. And this felt like Killzone, but Killzone with a nice difference.
So it's more open and more colourful.
Yeah, it's much more open. And yeah, the level I played was like, I was in a forest, and not like a weird radiated Disgusto forest, like an actual forest with trees and leaves and greenery and stuff. And yeah, basically I used zipline off this dam into this forest, and then you're kind of left to do as you will, and like straight ahead of you is this bunker which you can go in and find some supplies in, but you don't have to go there. And then to the left, your actual objective, which is this downed... Is it still the ISA? A friendly downed plane.
It's still the ISA, yeah.
Which is your actual objective. And then apparently I didn't have time to do this because there was a queue forming. There's a whole other optional objective on the right hand side. So, and the guy said there was about an hour plus of gameplay in what wasn't a very big level, but it was far bigger than anything you've seen in Killzone before. And that's a lot of things to do in one level. It was absolutely not corridor based, and also the owl, which is, like I said, this flying drone thing, gives you a lot more options in terms of how you approach it. So you can actually be stealthy. You've got this new pulse echo tactic which lets you see where people are from their outline, so you can be stealthy, or you can use the owl to be a shield, be a sort of attack dog type thing. You can use it to hack alarms and stuff like that, so they can't call for backup. It's, you know, it's not play it any way you choose. It's still Killzone, it's still a shooter, and it's still about the shooting, but it's not a corridor shooter anymore. Yeah, so that in terms of playing wise, that was probably my most impressive thing. And in terms of what I saw but didn't play, I mean, we got to the end of the Ubisoft conference, and I was sort of, it was just things I knew about really, and some of them looked fine and some of them didn't. And then they finished off with this thing which no one knew what it was until it came up and said The Division. I thought it looked magnificent. It was basically this year's Watch Dogs, just like Watch Dogs stole the show last year. This absolutely stole the show this year. Yeah, so it's like it's not post-apocalyptic is the wrong term because the world has only just gone to hell.
It's a pandemic, isn't it? It's like they're like The Division are there to kind of, in case things like this happen.
Yeah, in case of emergency, break glass and 4 men will pour out and save the world.
Did they actually clarify exactly what it is? Because they keep saying it's this kind of online RPG, but sort of tiptoeing around really saying it's an MMO or it's shooter.
They're very keen to hammer home that it's very much an RPG. So there's skill trees and leveling up and XP and buying things with points and blah blah blah. I guess MMO is difficult because it's not like you're constantly seeing, constantly interacting with other people like you are in your classic MMO. I guess the best way to look at it is, and this is a new term which is going to gain more and more traction as more and more of these come out, is shared world. So something like Destiny is shared world.
Right.
So you're playing with your teammates or on your own against the AI, but you will come into contact with other groups of players who are also playing in their game on their own against the AI, and then you can fight them, or like maybe you can team up. I don't know.
So is it almost a bit like, say, playing Borderlands, but several groups of people are also playing Borderlands in the same map?
Yeah, imagine at the end of a big Borderlands boss battle, you suddenly saw another 4 people who have just come over the hill, and then you shoot them up. That's basically how it feels.
Sound exciting,
and it looked stunning. It's in a sort of open world New York, really detailed, loads of gadgets. Got the best HUD I've ever seen in a game.
Oh, that beautiful sort of map that flows out of the floor.
So that was super exciting, and that was basically stole the show. Everyone loved that.
And it's one of the games that's using like a second screen, like a companion app. And this one actually lets you play the game like on the app as a drone, is it?
Yeah, basically. Most of them are, you know, look at the map, set objectives, or do sort of out of game things, which we might talk about more. But there's this one actually, the 4th player in this battle I saw has a drone which he was controlling on the tablet, and you know, flying it, and it worked really well. Like, you could see quite clearly as something happened on screen on the PS4, it would happen on the tablet. Pretty much.
So what else stood out for you?
Assassins was brilliant,
which I think is interesting, bearing in mind what you thought of the last one and how the last one kind of went down with a lot of people.
Yeah, I didn't think. I mean, it's still in isolation a good video game, but in comparison to what they talked up about it in expectation, it was a massive disappointment. The last game.
What does another Assassin's Creed game do now that makes it stand out so much?
Yeah, this one kind of does a lot of the stuff that the last one promised to do. In terms of the open world is now explorable in its almost totality without loading times and anything like that. So the naval battles, which look cool in the last one, now just work. You can swim up to a ship, climb on it and sail. You don't have to go up to the harbour master and click on a load of menus to do that. And also actually doing the naval battles was kind of a drag last time. They were kind of slow and
forever turn
it's like,
around.
It's like trying to fight in a tugboat basically. Now that I saw a couple of them and it's none of that. There's more ways of attacking other boats. The guns are more responsive. There's more of them. That worked beautifully, and just the open world. I mean, it was maybe the best looking thing I saw at the show.
Really?
Yeah, it looked amazing. And I saw, an open world section. So Kenway sailed to an island, found a map, then got back on his boat, sailed to another island, and did stealth, actual real working stealth, which the last game didn't particularly have. And it also didn't have that kind of open-endedness, which the game says, here's the target, here's your tools, go play. This one actually has that, and I saw that in an assassination mission where you have to kill these two guys. You kill one, the other runs away. I mean, in the last game, the minute he gets X yards away from you, the game would desynchronize and go, you have failed. Whereas this time you can stab him, you can shoot him, you can follow him on your boat, you can follow him on his boat. You can sink his boat, you can board his boat. Like there's loads of ways to do it, and I've been promised that that's true of the actual core assassination missions as well. Wow. So if all of that comes true, I mean that's perfect Assassins basically.
Yeah. Cool. Anything else in?
Yeah, I mean the first thing I played was Drive Club, which looked really nice. It's not necessarily hugely innovative in that it's a driving game, but it did look really nice. It felt really, really quick, and what it does really well is it's got sort of the sections of the track set you challenges, so your race is never over. Even if you completely cock it up for like a couple of sections, the next challenge is just a few yards away, and then you can take that off. You can win. You can do better than your rivals and get points and fame and stuff like that. I played a lot of racing games actually. I played that, I played Need for Speed, and I played The Crew, all of which do things well in their own ways. Need for Speed felt nigh on exactly like Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, but again it looked a lot better, and Hot Pursuit was really good, so that's fine. The Crew felt very current gen in terms of gameplay. It doesn't do a lot that you haven't seen games do before, but then it has this enormous map and this like vast open world that once you've unlocked it all, you can play about with as you wish. So they all kind of do, no one of them is like blowing the genre open, but they all look good and they've all got kind of their own USPs. Well. So yeah, exactly.
Okay, and was there anything that sort of didn't impress you, or left a bit of a bad taste in your mouth?
Knack. Knack is cack.
There's a slogan in the box.
Knack is really bad.
I must admit, I watched the video this morning and I put it on the website, and a lot of people kind of going, "Oh, don't say it's just for kids." Ratchet and Clank was for kids, and it's like there's a difference between for kids and childlike.
It's not just for kids; it's for stupid kids. It's really basic.
Yeah, I watched it like spinny attacks and little corridors. Yeah. I was amazed how little there was to it.
I went in with like a reasonably open mind. Just because something looks cartoony and looks kiddie doesn't mean it is.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I picked up the pad and I thought maybe this will be good. It's not. It really isn't. First of all, the first thing I noticed was you can't control the camera. Yeah. So the camera's locked, which isn't in itself a terrible thing. Castlevania had a locked camera, fine. But you don't do anything. You walk down these very small streets, and you'll encounter a bad guy, and the only attack button was square. Literally the only attack button was square. So you just hammer square a few times, he spins around, they die. X is jump, you jump up a couple of steps, the camera moves to a different perspective, you walk down a street, you hammer square a bit, they die. The only thing it had was a different section I played. You press triangle to change from fighting Knack, where he's made up of all his little component bits, and can get bigger or smaller, to sort of transparent glass-looking Knack who can walk through laser traps without setting them off. But that's it. I mean, that's not clever, and that's not interesting. Like, anyone can get to grips with that instantly, and it wasn't fun, and it didn't look good. I've got nothing good to say about it.
It did. When I saw it, it looked like sort of PS2, PS1 kind of games, but not sort of in a good way. Like, we've moved on from that level of basic interaction.
Absolutely, it was the most basic kind of video game you can think of, and not in a kind of minimalist, simplistic, charming way, just in a this is patronising kind of way.
Okay, so not so great for Knack, but Assassin's Creed, Division, what was the other one?
Killzone.
Killzone, yeah.
A lot of good stuff.
And the console looked great.
Console looks lovely, the pad feels good.